Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play. So, first things first, how we doing today? We doing good? Hoping everybody's doing really good today. I know this is a bit of a surprise stream, and, you know, sorry I'm running a little late. Had some stuff come up. Oh, hello, Nivik. How you doing? That's good, Robert. So anyway, first things first. We should probably take care of that. Can everybody hear okay? Is the volume okay, or do I need to tweak anything? Or are we doing good? It's been a minute. It has been, what has it been, like 2 months since I've touched this game, and I apologize for that. Like I said, I apologize for that. I didn't plan on being, you know, that long. Excuse me. Sounds good? Okay. Alright. I'm gonna, I'll give it about another minute, make sure everybody showed up, and then I'm gonna move on. Oh, also, so I was sending this link to my friends earlier. You know, I was posting this on you know, my Twitter and my YouTube and stuff. You know, like, hey, listen, guys, I'm gonna be streaming Minotaur Hotel today. And the funny thing is, a lot of people are surprised that I chose the wolf, and I was like, really? I would think that most people would choose wolf, but apparently not. I saw that there was like some kind of boar character. I watched my good friend Northgrids play this game, and he chose the boar guy, and I don't know his name. I don't remember it right now because it's been a while since I watched that video. So oh, speaking of, there he is now. That's fine. Bleed. It's still good to see you though. But yeah, like you know, he chose, you know, I was just talking about you. He chose the boar man. I think he's like a chef or something. And I was like, oh, and then I looked at somebody else that played it and they chose the boar man. I was like, really? I thought people would go for the wolf. We already have a lot of, you know, something different. But I think I waited long enough. I'm going to get right into the swing of things. I'm going to try to get through as much as I can today. I'm thinking about 2.5 hours I'll stream today. Kanbosh? Is that how you say it? Kanbosh? But anyway. And I think this is where I saved. I'm pretty sure this is the part, so. However, while life has managed to adapt to the most inhospitable of climates, there remain certain minimum conditions necessary for it to exist, and nowhere are those requirements more evident than in places where they are scarce, absent, or otherwise inaccessible. For daring to overreach, the wolf has earned only suffering. Gone are the days when he could slake his thirst at the first brook, find his bed beneath any tree, or satisfy his hunger with a simple hunt. Still, he retains his wits entirely about him, and no industry or injury deprive him of the robust constitution which has enabled his survival until this point. Trite as it may seem, life finds a way. In the time that has passed since his second diplomatic failure, the wolf has devoted himself solely to securing his means of subsistence. Whatever resources bipedal bovine or his herd may have to offer in the future, he cannot rely on such a tenacious relationship in the immediate. A source of potable water is his highest priority, followed by food and shelter. Thankfully, his nose is sufficient to point him towards a source of liquid refreshment within a few minutes of his first encounter, what someone of a more human persuasion may recognize as a restroom. Oh gosh. Imagine the joy in his heart to see fresh water available for anyone's convenience, or the feeling of relief at plunging headfirst into a cool oasis after a day spent baking beneath the desert sun. At the hour of his arrival, the public restrooms are as deserted as the hotel's entrance, and he takes the opportunity to gather himself while foot traffic remains scarce. As his mental facilities return, he remains vigilant for any changes in his surroundings, but the hours tick by with nary a sound or scent. And so he takes what rest he can, the dull ache in his ribs where the bull man punched him ebbs away with time, as does the dizzy weakness of his limbs once he has drunk his fill. Eventually he chances marking the watering hole as his territory. Oh gosh. Though it is hardly a defensible position, it still remains a key resource until he's been able to get the lay of the land and had a chance to accustom himself to the daily rhythm of his new abode. Oh gosh. However, as he begins his work, a thought occurs. He notices no trace of man or beast who might contest his claim. Somehow he is the only thing that he can smell. It is no mean feat, especially for an animal who is used to tracking prey kilometers away, by nothing more than an errant drop of plague him from a runny nose to smell nothing. Imagine, if you will, what it might be like to open your eyes and see a sterile void with only the reflection of your own body to remind you that you aren't blind. Think of being trapped in a pure white room, smooth to deny your sense of touch and soundproof to deny you hearing. Fed white rice unseasoned to deny you taste or smell, kept alive but only just in an empty realm where loneliness kills the soul. Such is the wolf's experience in the fumbling desperation of disability, having had a fundamental part of himself rendered useless by unknown means. Still, his inhumanity shields him from realizing the full extent of this madness. The pin and needle numbness of the senses glides off the wolf's mind like water from a duck's back. He hasn't enough of a psyche for psychological torture to affect. While he can scarce afford to be terrified of each unknown phenomenon, it nonetheless gives him pause to have one sense contradict another. He knows the hotel to be inhibited, whether by mean, min, foul, or some combination thereof. He has seen them enter, smelled the sea breeze, sweat, and sunshine beating off the bull man's skin. As he pops his head back into the hallway, his wet fur helps him detect the slight breeze, wholly unlike the arid air which buffeted him before. This wind seems to circulate of its own volition, without any heed for the ways architecture may impede airflow. There is no clue his animal mind can peruse about its origin or nature. A brief retracing of his steps yields nothing either. Nobody answered the bullman's call for help. He dares not linger, but he can at least be sure that nothing will surprise him from behind. The wolf stalks on with all the caution towards the nearest source of sound, unwilling to abandon himself to slumber until his needs are met. Sure enough, he recognizes the crackle of a fire, though the lounge's landscape is just as alien to him as the lifeless desert outside. The tables and chairs are just another shape taken by the deformed trees which dot the cursed wasteland. He gives them as wide a breath as possible, like a man might a minefield while approaching the hotel's hearth. Though his thick fur makes him scorn the heat it radiates, Zisha's blessing is not wholly lost on the wolf's animal brain. He understands on some instinctual level that the dancing firelight signifies a place of rest for weary wanderers, though the smokeless flames keep him from surrendering to the aura of calm that pervades his surroundings. A pang of hunger urges the wolf to continue foraging for food. His prior experience in the human village leads him to seek out anything that looks like it might contain scraps, plastic bags, or metal bins. After a bit of searching, he nudges open a lidded pot and finds leftover soup long since cooled and coagulated into a chunky goo. Never has a single living creature before or since been so happy to discover an aspic. The world seems to regain a little color as he gets a whiff of the meaty ooze. The sterile numbness recedes as his nose processes its savory scent, predominantly chicken accompanied by the earthy undertone of root vegetables. He senses no trace of a hunter's meddling around the pot, no poison in the food, nor metal jaws to lame his legs, nor flaxen snares to catch him by the paw. Despair's age joins the struggle of a prolonged period upright. He bites the rim of the pot and drags it to the floor. Oh gosh. Oh my god. Can you imagine? Wait, who's the cook? Oh, Coda. That's right. Coda's the cook. Can you imagine when Coda comes in? He's gonna be like, Coda is gonna be so upset. Oh, Coda's gonna be so annoyed with this. Oh no. And Coda's very strict. Nothing spills. The hardened cloggin that leached from the bones when the stock was brewed holds all the ingredients locked in a prison of fleshy gel. Okay, never mind. I was about to say, Dakota's gonna be so freaking angry. Unsure how best to ingest the semi-solid mass, he gingerly licks it with his tongue before shoving his whole head into the pot to chew everything in reach. The leftover portion of soup is heavy with meat to the wolf's delight. He makes quick work of it, allowing the booming echo of his own eating to deafen him to everything else for a few short minutes. Once he's disengaged from his dinner, the wolf leaves the lounge with little bits of aspic stuck to his thick fur. He sets out with a simple objective, to find a place in the hotel where he will not be discovered until the next evening. It may have served his purposes well enough at the time, but the wolf has no desire to return to his makeshift shelter in the desert, for fear that a full day in the sweltering heat will be the end of him. Likewise, he rules out any place where living beings are liable to congregate, such as the hotel's entrance or the watering hole. He breaks into a jog at a leisurely 20 kilometers per hour or so and dashes off. Before too long, however, the hotel's geography begins to truly confound his senses. As he continues down the marble corridors, they seem to stretch perceptibly beyond his range of vision. The rocky ground refuses to hold tracks of any kind, and the hotel's magic erases all scent from the air. A glance backward confirms his loss of bearings. He can see no path back to where he'd been, beyond simply turning around and running the other way for a few kilometers. Everywhere he looks, space seems to repeat. Each door and tile and bit of molding is just another iteration of itself, an eternal Mindros of misdirection. He seeks a stairwell next and heads up a dozen floors in hopes of finding any break in the perfect pattern. Like the fractal splitting of a tree's trunk into abnormal branches and twigs, every avenue of exploration only yields the same empty hallways and wooden doors as all those prior. The wolf comes to a stop long before his stamina gives out. His thought process shifts into a cost-benefit analysis of a sort. Conserving enough of his energy for the coming days is critical, and he has no intention of spending more time seeking safe harbor than is strictly necessary. Whatever trickery is interfering with his other senses, his ears work well enough. He listens at every corner and every door for movement, be it footsteps or breathing. Silence. Sinking to the ground, he watches for any changes until his mind grows as empty as a hallway's horizon. Consciousness departs soon after. The old wolf's sleep is dreamless, as devoid of life as the world which greets him once he opens his eyes. The early hours of the day have passed without incident, just as he had hoped. However, the nature of his new home carries an unforeseen drawback. He has lost all sense of time. Under normal circumstances, a simple look skyward would allow him to tell the hour, but the artificial suns embedded in the cave roof do not move through their rocky sky with the passage of time. Likewise, though the lights were dimmer when he first entered, true darkness never seems to fall. No stars emerge from behind the veil of a cloudy stone, nor are there any windows through which he could see outside if he so wished. Furthermore, the remoteness of the wolf's sleeping spot prevents him from using the behavior of other animals to judge the duration of his rest. Humans, he has learned, function best during the day. Conversely, many other species such as deer and rabbits become more active in the twilight hours to avoid the attention of predators. In any case, his usual metrics for measuring time are rendered useless. All he can conclude is what his circadian rhythm tells him. He has rested for long enough, and it is time to move on. Pertinence bids him solve the most pressing issue first. If he's to live at any length within these walls, he must find more points of reference by which to navigate. He prepares himself for the journey back to the hotel's entrance and then sets off at a middling pace. With eyes peeled and ears perked up, the wolf does his utmost to anticipate any potential threats before they emerge. Oh no, he's back! Oh no. He's back again! Yeah, that's what I said. We have a four-legged character. It's really surprising. I liked it, though. It's something different. However, as he rounds a corner no more than a few minutes' walk from his starting location, he finds himself mere paces away from his objective. At the end of the hall, the wolf can make out the bullman's silhouette and a human in conversation with him. Before either can notice his intrusion, he does an about-face and sprints back towards his hideout. The bovine biped's violent reaction has made him weary of contact with it, just as the abrasion on his side reminds him of his encounter with the human hunters. Once he has retreated a safe distance away, he turns around to make certain that he hasn't been followed. A perfunctory check behind him reveals only the same accursed hallway stretching to infinity. The wolf sallies forth several times more, only to spook as the hotel's magic redirects him towards his destination. He moves slower with each attempt to be certain that his mind isn't playing tricks. The result is always the same, though his concentration never lapses. There is no pattern to when or where he's whisked away. No matter what direction he runs or what feints or convulsions in his steps, he inevitably finds the hotel's entrance as soon as his mind turns towards it. On his final approach, he moves through the hall as though traversing the surface of a frozen lake, expecting the ground to fall away beneath him with each step. He seeks the seam, awaiting the exact moment when space warps and delivers him somewhere impossible. If he can comprehend the rules by which his phenomena operates, then he can turn it to his advantage. As he grows less panicked and more inquisitive, his intention changes and the hotel responds. He comes out on the other side of the lobby and promptly ducks into the nearest alcove he can find. The shaft which holds the spiral staircase is of large enough space that he can hide in the hollow beneath without much effort. In addition, when he is pressed flush against the curvature of the wall, his silhouette becomes even harder to notice. The shadows beneath the stone structure allow him to make use of his natural camouflage, despite the relative illumination of his surroundings. Though it means giving up both the advantage of sight and his ability to move as he pleases for the duration of the day, he has found a vantage point to stalk his quarry. Here he may learn how the denizens of this desert not only survive, but thrive, and how he may best integrate himself among them. Unlike the town from which he escaped, the wolf can perceive nothing resembling an economy of being. Both need and necessity seem as alien within the hotel's walls as they are endemic to the world outside. He can tell from the irregularity of their movement that these people are accustomed to a languid lifestyle. Not a single one possesses anything resembling a purpose or a sense of urgency. They shuffle through the adjoining passages at such irregular intervals that it could not be otherwise. Lacking any form of diversion by which to pass the time, the wolf makes a game of trying to gauge the settlement's demographic composition. Before too long, he has learned to identify basic information for which he can hear: the sound of footsteps in varying strides and the occasional voice. There is no imbalance between the sexes that he can notice, but the results are skewed another way. Children are few and far between, while the elderly are present in relative abundance. In addition, he could hear no other animals behind the now familiar hoofbeats belonging to the bullman. Assuming he is successful in earning a place among them, his victory may be short-lived if this settlement lacks the means to sustain its population. The wolf is in his twilight years himself and has no desire to start from scratch. The human with which he bonds pass on before him. By whatever means its people are whisked into the hotel's space, migration can only do so much. Replacing one elderly person with another won't solve the underlying issues, either the wolf's desire for companionship or the community's need for productive, able-bodied adults. As the hours tick by and the lights dim, restlessness sets into his bones, as surely as the stiffness of age takes his joints from the prolonged period of stillness. Both spur him to his feet once the silence has taken root, and in the dark his courage renews itself. Before he begins his nightly exploration, he shall make his rounds to the watering hole to refresh himself and the lounge to eat. He arrives at the same scene as his first night, the marble floors pristine, bearing no trace of his scent marking in the slightest. He relieves himself without worry. Perhaps a greater quantity of urine will prove more difficult to erase, and thus may he assert his presence to the world. Oh no. Oh boy. After allowing himself a perfunctory frolic in the toilet, he shakes himself dry and lops away. The lounge, too, is as he left it, and after a day spent in the relative cool of the hotel's innards, he is better able to appreciate the warmth of the hearth. He allows himself to be comforted, however briefly, by the primal instincts of his kind, and the fruitful friendship felicitated by this most stalwart and indispensable of man's tools. The simple ease of driving off the night's lingering chill overcomes him as he stares deep into the flickering flames. Perhaps this is what the first wolves felt as they shared the blessing of man's fire. Before he could become too comfortable, he trundles over to the lounge's counter where lies his prize. Some cold cuts of meat and cheese have been left over for those who have kept odd hours, and he eats from the smoked smorgasbord without restraint. A thought occurs to him as he consumes the caricature. Where does it all come from? In the wild, the order of the ecosystem is well established. Every creature is intimately familiar with its food, from the top to the bottom of the web of life. Among humans too, there was an orderliness, oh my gosh, I can't speak today, guys. Oh my gosh. Among humans too, there is an orderliness to these things. Whether on rural or industrial farms, any animal meant to be eaten must be able to eat in turn. His current environs, cursed as they are, seem to laugh in the face of that natural order. Nobody works, yet everyone eats. There is nothing the old wolf can offer to earn his keep because nobody needs to earn anything, and so he faces few options beyond throwing himself upon their mercy, or else continuing to live as a lonely scavenger in their midst. The wolf opts to spend the night seeking answers and wanders into the trackless desert in search of something that might affirm his expectations. Any familiar sign of life will do, even the shyest herb or blade of grass upon which a cow might graze. He walks the hotel's perimeter, hoping to use the cliff's elevation to get a better view of his surroundings. He sees the parking lot and the road, and then a sudden gust of wind splashes color into the sterile void. Flowers sway in the breeze, bathing the wolf in a fragrance so gentle as to be almost insubstantial. Bunches of pure white blooms, six-petaled, beckon him with their languid wave. From the drooping bush and haggard tree beyond, stronger herbal odors waft towards him, somewhere between oregano and eucalyptus from one, with the addition of pine and mint from the other. Two figures stand in the garden's center, a man with one hand outstretched and a faithful watchdog at his side. Each is so lifelike that he dares not intrude further upon their sanctuary. The peace they exude he knows cannot be taken for granted. Nonetheless, the wolf is relieved enough to find a place where normal plants can grow. Whether or not they are out of season is beyond his ability to reckon. Such is the garden's tranquility that he cannot help but sink to the ground and start to doze beneath the statue's watchful eyes, hoping their eternal companionship will prove an example to the men in the shelter behind them when it comes time for him to reveal himself. The wolf wakens before dawn just as the evening stars have begun to fade. However more hospitable the hotel might be than the wasteland outside, the desert shows a friendlier face at night than he has seen within its walls. Here, beneath the dancing asphodel, he can scarcely imagine the burning hellscape it becomes during the heat of the day. The morning air is cool, and though the stars are unfamiliar, the presence makes for a breathtaking vista. Perhaps here he can allow himself to imagine a kinder world than the one to which he has become accustomed. He makes his way back inside while weighing his options. It would be safer to return to his previous hiding spot and continue his observations unnoticed. But on the other hand, or ambiguous limb, as the case may be, it would doubtless be more valuable to find another vantage point from which he may watch events unfold. The shady space beneath the stairs has served him well, but he's learnt about as much as he can with hearing alone. He knows when people are most active and how best to flee if the situation shifts. Not that it would be hard to lose potential pursuers in an infinite maze. Could he live out in the desert alone should it come to that? Could he find an exit back into the tundra? He's sure to be discovered given enough time, whether as a result of his own carelessness or some unknown property of the hotel's architecture being used against him. For that matter, the longer he lingers without revealing himself, the likelier that someone will take issue with his presence. Food going missing is a dead giveaway, even if he covers his tracks in all other respects. Given all possible outcomes, he would rather meet this land's descendants on his own terms, and should the consequences prove disastrous, better to rip the bandage off rather than allow fear to fester. That, of course, raises the question, what context would give him the best chance to prove he means no harm? Robbed of his nose, his tracking skills have been diminished by several orders of magnitude. His chance of singling out an individual, or even a small group of would-be wildlife ambassadors, is slim to none. Regardless, he must find someone willing to take him in. He's only just wedged himself beneath the staircase when he picks up a distant tremor. Though he struggles to hear it, he can feel the reverberations through the stone. Someone is approaching. By his guess, it has the weight of an adult man, though he never imagined a man so adept at moving with near feline grace. As footsteps pass over him, he catches a slight breeze, proof that the individual is deceptively broad of frame for one so apt at sneaking. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh no, it's Luke! Oh, is Luke gonna take him in? boy. The smell, too, seems to be at odds with his other senses. There is a scent of the outdoors, a rugged odor of sweat and sun. Oop. Okay, guys, that was weird. Sorry about that. My speaker suddenly decided, my headphones suddenly decided they wanted to shut off. That was worrisome. The smell, too, seems to be at odds with his other senses. There is a scent of the outdoors, a rugged odor of sweat and sun, powerful enough to be almost acrid to the wolf's sensitive snout. Though it is surely animal in origin, his ears cannot be fooled. It walks upright like a man, whatever it really is. Once it has passed, the wolf wriggles from his hiding place as discreetly as he can. The hour is not too late, as this new creature bears immediate investigation. If another beast is wanted into the hotel, there may yet be hope for him. He catches sight of the hybrid shortly after and stops short, trying to puzzle out its origins. A bull and a human may be an odd pair of progenitors, but it makes a degree of sense that the bovine biped he saw would be the offspring of such a couple. An eagle and a cougar, however, are incompatible in ways which go far beyond mere disregard for social mores. It must have been a truly unfortunate accident of nature that this catbird came to be at all, but it nonetheless looks to be thriving. Who better to befriend than an assured outcast? Oh. It navigates the meadow forest without breaking stride, and the wolf watches intently from behind the rocky palette which separates the two of them as the creature begins working its magic. While much of his view of the white obelisk through which it rummages is hidden beneath the catbird's wings, he recognizes the contents of its claws as food the moment it turns around. Whatever this white kobold is, the hybrid is command of its psychology that cannot be overlooked. It does not stir at the creature's touch, only let out the same low hum he heard on his first foray into the kitchen as the catbird plunders it of meat and eggs in abundance. Teetering birdsong fills the air, does the scent of sustenance. The creature has begun vocalizing, humming softly to itself as it foods cooks. Glad as the wolf was to find any repast here in days prior, a hot meal is a prospect that excites his instincts. The closest he can naturally come to warm food in the wild is a fresh kill, and his mind cannot help but make the association. Every drop of fat that becomes airborne settles right into the wolf's olfactory bulb, triggering a rush of dopamine. God, listen, whoever the writers of this visual novel, they're really good, but God, like the words, I'm struggling, and I read stuff, and I struggle to get some of these words out. His mouth is full of drool in mere moments, and his tail bursts into an ecstatic wag. Whatever his initial misgivings about this thing are its species, anyone who appreciates meat to such a degree is a worthy friend indeed. Uh-oh. Before his stomach can overtake him completely, the wolf barks to attract the hybrid's attention. Upon noticing him, the corners of his beak seem to curve upward into a smile. Oh gosh, what? I don't remember what voice did I give Luke. It's been so long. Oh man, what? It was Texas, right? Well, hey there. You're a big fella now, ain't you? Who's a good boy? Who is? Oh my God, that's not his voice. I know it isn't, but I can't remember what voice I gave him. Oh, I hate this so much. Oh, I hate it. I can't remember the voice. I'm sorry, guys. Texan. Woo-wee! Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get the voice down. Woo-wee! The wolf's fur bristles as the creature draws closer, but he roots himself to the spot for fear of another social setback costing him his chance. The catbird grabs a piece of half-cooked bacon in one claw and squats, letting the wolf sniff it and approach in his own time. Easy there, boy. I ain't gonna hurt you. Old Luke knows what you're after. Ain't met a dog yet that didn't love bacon. Like any animal presented with such an enticing treat, the wolf can hardly believe his good fortune. He waits for the inevitable catch, anticipating any sudden movement, such as the hybrid's hand shooting forward to take him unawares, much like the bull man before him. Just like any other stray, he is slow to trust. However, life tends to happen while we make other plans. The most prospective weeks of careful testing boundaries evaporate with a single act of goodwill. In the time it takes the wolf to consider whether or not he should take the bacon, Luke has set it down and backed a few steps away. The wolf steps forward and snatches up the offering, smacking his chops in satisfaction as he bites into his savory snack. After he has swallowed it, he licks the space of floor where it landed until he's sure that he's gotten every last bit of nutritious, toothsome grease. Then the wolf pads gingerly toward the still squatting capper to offer his gratitude, such as it is. In a flash, his tongue darts over to bathe his benefactor's fingers in drool, and his nose nuzzles Luke's palm in kind. He is careful to resist the urge to nip at the scaly flesh of the eagle's talons, no matter how tasty the bacon fat which coats them may be. See, better than poking the eye with a sharp stick, ain't it, boy? The creature rises to his feet, and the wolf scampers back to a safe distance, only for the siren song of crispy, thick-cut bacon to draw him inexorably back to Luke's side. This time he eats it straight from his benefactor's hands, letting out a yipe of appreciation when he's through. Courage swells in the wolf's chest with each morsel of meat that lands in his stomach, though he still scampers back whenever Luke attempts to draw closer than arm's length. However willing the hybrid might be to lavish his new pet with physical affection, the gesture remains foreign to the wild animal. Wolves at play are prone to all manners of roughhousing, growling, and capering about as they please, none of which is appropriate within the cramped confines of the wolf's interior of a near total stranger. It is still too much too soon. Once it becomes clear that he will not be receiving any further treats for the moment, the wolf chooses to stand a respectable distance away while this new acquaintance finishes preparing his own food. There is no need for the lupin to remain underfoot, even as Luke whistles for his attention and beckons him towards the table. He thinks it's better of venturing near enough to touch. Still, the eagle's table merits arouse some manners of curiosity in his animal companion. Despite the fact that his beak is better suited for tearing meat into bite-sized chunks, Luke couldn't care less, swallowing sausage links whole and shoveling mountains of hash browns, bacon, and eggs into his mouth with abandon. Okay, Bleed, take care. Thanks for stopping by, though. It's good to see you again. The hybrid takes no time at all to finish eating, after which he continues to make the occasional diplomatic overture towards his new friend. The wolf listens in a manner, turning his head toward Luke when he's called, but recognizing nothing beyond the fact that he's being talked to. He only responds when he hears footsteps approaching, turning toward the lounge's entrance and barking thrice at the arrival of a group of strange lizards, each about the size of a child 3 or 4 years old. Reptiles seldom smell of anything, and it's more difficult for scent to cling to scales than to seep into a mammal's fur, for instance. However, the wolf catches a faint, musty odor, like a rock upon which moss has just begun to grow, or a room that has been dusted in some time. What is it, boy? Someone fall down a well? By the time Luke has risen to his feet, the strangers have scurried away. The wolf resists the urge to chase them down, though we could drive them back towards the lounge to see what the catberg can make of them with little effort. In allowing them to escape and thus alert more people to his presence, the wolf has chosen to make his stand. The wait, though brief, is agonizing, especially when he hears them return accompanied by a familiar set of hoofbeats. A short while later, the bullman makes his entrance, only to stiffen up at the sight of the wolf, much to the consternation of the 3 lizards cowering behind his enormous frame. Their eyes meet, but neither moves or makes a sound until Luke's blithe spirit breaks through the awkwardness. Both turn towards him in equal confusion, although the wolf at least has the excuse of an inability to comprehend human language. Hey, Angus, perfect timing. I found the stray dog. Looks like he just wandered in. No collar, a tag, or nothing. You think I could get you to whip up a leash or something for him? Luke, I know not how best to say this, but that is not a dog. It is a wolf. A wild animal does not have need for a collar. Nonsense. He might be playing hard to get right now, but he was taking treats right out of my hand earlier. Give him a little time to warm up to you, and I guarantee he's friendly. As much as I like to believe that, I would rather not take the chance. You have seen the monsters that lurk beyond the hotel's walls. Oh man, Ashley's not gonna be happy about this. Oh, I don't think Ashley wants him. No, I like the wolf. Don't make him leave. I like him. Wolves can be domesticated. It's very hard, but they can be. The animals of the desert, even the plants, if given the opportunity, they will do harm to all who come near them, especially me. I ain't arguing with that, but has one of them ever waited this long to attack once someone got close enough? No, I suppose not, but besides, the hotel's magic's supposed to keep them away, ain't it? They ain't never come close to answering, much less beg for food, have they? In that case, he could be the foreman. Argos has seldom hurt me directly, but he is as much a monster of the labyrinth as any other, although more wily than most of his brethren. Oh, please, anyone could tell he don't belong out in the desert. His fur's too thick. Poor thing would overheat faster than a griddle in summer. And ain't it the hotel's mission to give a home to those who need it? I'd say a stray like him qualifies. It is, but think of the other guests for a moment. Even if he's not a monster per se, that does not mean he is not a danger. There is no guarantee that he will not frighten or even harm one of the other guests. It's not like we can have him sign the check in thorns. The kobolds told me he barked at them, and when I first saw him, he jumped up to bite me on the mouth. What if he bites someone else? You sure he wasn't just trying to lick your face or something? If he's really a wolf and about as wild as dangerous as you say, how'd you get away? No offense, but you're too big a softy to fight off a real predator, I reckon. I thought he was trying to hurt me, so I punched him. And it shows. Poor guy's just about as scared of you as you are of him. You know what? Give me a minute. I think I got an idea to smooth things over between you two. With their feathered friends' withdrawal, the tense atmosphere reasserts itself in seconds. The ruffled remnant's eyes fill with inquisitorial suspicion, doubtlessly born of countless years of ill fortune. He sees the old wolf for what he is rather than what he could be. A predator rather than a friend. The wolf cannot return the upright ungulate's suspicion on equal grounds, but the fact remains that he came to harm the other's hand unprovoked. This is what he has come to expect of the bull man, whatever the cat's, bird's affectionate affiliation with it. He tries his best to look non-threatening while he waits. Come on here! The craven cowman winces as Luke forwards a strip of uncooked bacon into his hand. Puzzlement appears on his face, only to be immediately supplemented by disbelief and then acceptance. Both of them know there is no quicker way to verify the truth of the catbird story than to put it to the test, even if it means that the bull must endure a moment's risk. You expect me to feed him? If he bites anyone, I'll take him out of the hotel myself. I'm sure I can find some nice place somewhere to turn him loose. The bovine biped shoos Little away from his legs and sinks into a squat, holding the piece of pork as far from his body as possible. Fearful, he starts to turn his head from the wolf's direction as though expecting to lose his fingers. Meanwhile, the kobolds continue to cower behind his step with wide back. Fearful, he starts to turn his head from the wolf's... Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Fearful, he starts to turn his head from the wolf's direction as though expecting to lose his fingers. Meanwhile, the... Oh, I already read that. I just read that. Why did I read that again? The wolf pads forward, no more eager to get within reach than his assailant is, but snatches a piece of bacon without delay. As he did before, he licks the residual grease from his new companion's fingers before snuffling peacefully at the flesh of his palm. The bullman's gaze returns to this wayward soul, and he lets out a deep exhale as he pulls his arm back towards his chest. The wolf sits still, a small victory in itself. He will tolerate this creature's presence so long as there are no further incidents. See what I tell you, no harm, no foul. Alright, I suppose he can stay, once I've talked this over with Master Mark. You ain't gonna regret it, I promise. Oh, Luke is so happy. Like, Luke really wanted him. Luke looks so happy. I'm glad. I was like, oh, if we lose the wolf, he might be useful. I wonder what he does. Dogs are smart, you know. So long as we keep feeding him, I'm willing to bet we could even trade him to work for us. Might not be much use down in the old nerd basement, but it's probably got a good nose for danger. He'll be a canary in the coal mine if you send him out to the valley with a team. Content that their protector has been left unharmed, the kobolds peek out from behind the bull's bulk while he and Luke begin working out the logistics of caring for a wolf. Before either can speak a word of warning, they begin their advance, scribbling over one another for the chance to interact with the hotel's new pet dog. Puppy! Me first, I want to pet him! No, me! Thankfully, before the rambunctious little reptiles can get too far ahead of themselves, the catbird intercedes as the wolf backs off. Luke catches one kobold by the collar and clotheslines the other to his chest with his free arm. Oh, no you don't. Y'all gonna scare him off if you rush in like that. You gotta let him come to you. Here, let me get another piece of bacon. Y'all could each feed him a little chunk and see where it leads. Luke goes to get another bite of meat for the kobolds to feed their new pet while the cow begins murmuring to himself, lost in thought. As Wolf accepts each bite of food and licks the giggling lizards clean in turn, his eyes watch his prey turn pack meat, appraising every move as the bullman paces back and forth. I will have to put up signs to ensure no one takes issue with him being here. On second thought, it may be better to mention him directly to the guests. There's a practiced ease in its hoof beats with the return to routine, as though his heartbeat were playing out in every step. Then at last, he looks to the wolf, and though his eyes still carry a tender suspicion, his trial with the newest arrival is over. His face is softened from the paralytic terror with which he once regarded the animal, leaving only the mien of a seasoned host. Oh, hello, Lion Wing. How you doing today? There is no experience upon which the wolf may lean to help him navigate through what remains of the morning, but even so, he meets the ungulate's gaze without judgment. The catbird's generosity revealed that he accepts both parties as members of his pack, and the wolf in turn vows to hold on to that same spirit. I know you cannot understand me, but this place is a home for the lost, and if you are one among that number, then, well, welcome to our establishment, Wolf. Home really is all that you were after, wasn't it? Wolf lets out a contented yawn and then a single quiet bark. Wolf has... Oh, we got him! Guys, we got Wolf! Wolf has joined your staff. Oh, so he's... So I wonder if what, like, Luke said, because Luke said he probably wouldn't be good, obviously, for, like, working on research, but he probably would be really good for, like, for not working on research, but he'd probably be really good for working on, going to the valley for resources. From the confines of the darkest web of mankind's making, something most foul comes forth. It slithers on electromagnetic waves and crawls inside your cell phone. The protocol-enabled creation takes a shape most despicable, resulting in the insistent buzzing which awakens you. By the gods, why didn't you silence your phone before going to bed? A fatal mistake if there ever was one. You try to ignore it, but alas, the sender is insistent. It is imperative that you dedicate your attention to this matter of utmost importance. You grope around your nightstand for the phone. Cursed invention. An unknown sender has entrusted you with images. Behold, now. The bull knows something. Oh my god. Oh, no. Is this Luke? Oh no, is this Luke? Oh my god. Is this fucking Luke? The bull knows something. Come to me, my... Oh my gosh. I hate him. Eat grass. Oh my god, fucking Luke. Oh, fuck it. I hate Luke so much. I hate him so much. Wow. The boy deserves... Oh my gosh. These are some terrible memes. Why? Why? Waivers? Oh, hello. Are you okay? Final state? Waivers, that usually mean... Doesn't that mean, like, you know, like... You're Oh, jeez. What wretched creations, and you have what wretched creations, and you've seen these compression artifacts before. Precisely last night when Asterion gave you a glimpse of his conversations with Lucas Walker Griffin. Oh my gosh. I hate Luke so much. Luke, what the hell? Why is Luke doing that? It's so messed up. As soon as the opportunity arises, you approach the Griffin for a thorough investigation. This is like this is what I feel like it's like for me when I'm in a furry visual novel server, and this is what it's like whenever we chat in visual novel chat. Either visual novel chat or we chat in memes. This is literally what I feel like. As soon as the opportunity arises, you approach the Griffin for a thorough investigation. Luke, I need to have a word with you. At your service, boss man, sir. How can I be of use to such a fine man such as yourself? Were you the one who sent me pictures today? Excuse me, you want me to send pictures? Now that's nasty, Mark. I thought you and Asterion were a thing. Oh, Luke, close your mouth, please. Oh, Luke, put your tongue back in your mouth, please. No. No, that's not what I meant at all. Look here, did you send me these? You showed Luke your phone, taking care not to let him touch it. Those talons of his would destroy the screen. His reaction comes in 3 acts. First, confusion as he struggles to make out the text. Then a smile as it all dawns upon him. The third act brings with it his matted ear-piercing shriek/cackle. Look at his face. Is that new? I don't think we've seen that before. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh jeez. Yep, sure you got me. That's me, alright. Can't believe you caught me dead to rights like that. Shit, I gotta send you my stash. Got a whole folder of memes and porn and meme porn. You're gonna love it. Excuse me? Yeah, I don't know how to make a new photo on my phone, so I keep it all together. You mind if I just send you the whole thing? Oh no! No, Luke! How do you not know how to make a folder on your phone? No, don't send us the whole phone. Oh my gosh. Luke's just gonna send the whole thing. No, don't do that, Luke. We're supposed to be professional. We're not supposed to be doing that. That's wrong. Oh my god. No! I mean, don't send me that. But it is too late. Luke is already clawing away his phone to send you all his weird porn. You're left with no other choice. You must save yourself from this travesty. You escape to your office. Oh my gosh, he sent us this whole thing. I can't imagine. Oh, okay, we're back. Oh, Luke, Luke is something else. I love Luke. He's a mess. All right, first things first. I'm gonna customize the Asterion. I love this shirt, but it needs to get washed. So, ooh. Also, we're gonna change his fur color back to white. We're gonna actually take off the neckwear. Ooh, I'm liking this. Okay, so the tank top, the humanities tank top, the red shorts we'll keep on, and then we'll get rid of the leather gloves. Yes, guys, what do you think? Do you like this? I like this outfit. I'm changing out his outfit. I'm trying to change it every day. How do we feel about this outfit? Oh my goodness. Oh, Luke had me laughing a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh, Luke, stop. Why are you sending all these pictures? Okay, the fur color's white. Yeah, I think okay, we're ready to keep this. Alright, so I don't know. Manage teams. Oh, see, the wolf's here. Okay, so we'll put him in exploration. Okay, I'm not gonna send Asterion out. Work on Asterion's project. Talk to Robert in the lounge. Looks like what, you think so? You think he looks like the MC? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't touched tennis ace in over a year. It's been a very long time. I know the golden armband, I don't think we can remove, right? Oh, no, we can. Okay, we're gonna leave it anyway. That's fine. Let's work on Asterion's project. I want to work on Asterion's project. Let's do that. Work on his project. You view your progress on this project so far. Asterion has a somewhat lengthy document written up with some fragments and translation attempts available on the internet. Now we're missing something crucial here, Asterion. Wait, that's right. Why do I keep saying Asterion? Somebody told me, I feel like somebody told me that's not how you say the name. I just realized I'm going through this. I'm like, wait a minute. Somebody told me that's not how you say the name. If you talk to Robert, he joins you. Oh, thanks for this. Okay, we'll do that next then. Thanks, Nivik. I didn't know that. I didn't know we could get him to join us. What would that be? Sources. How do we back these translations up? Asterion groans but nods. We need to provide some fragments of our own so these researchers will know we're legit. We don't happen to have any of those, do we? I believe we might. Are you ready to go down to the 25th floor? You climb down the stairs side by side, passing the ground floor. 25 more floors later, you're standing next to the familiar plaque on the featureless wall. Asterion summons the door for you, and in you go. Before you stands once again the storage room you saw in your first day at the hotel. Huh, this is where the wine bottle was kept, right? Asterion nods. Man, that feels like so long ago, doesn't it? It really does! You know, I was looking through, a few days ago, I was looking through my first video when I started Minotaur Hotel, and it's so crazy to see how Asterion looks when you first meet him compared to how he looks now. It's horrifying. And I hate it so much, and I'm so happy that he's back to his good self. Man, Asterion guides you down the long corridor, past all sorts of historical artifacts. About halfway through, he stops dead in his tracks. Give me a moment. I cannot quite remember how to... I got it. This will only work if we both look to the right of the hallway. Keep looking that way and let's walk forward, alright? You do as Asterion instructs, keeping your gaze fixed on the wall. About 50 blind paces later, Asterion stops. Before you can turn around, however, he puts a hand on your shoulder. Keep looking that way or it will not work. Give me a moment. Asterion then takes your hand. You continue to walk together for what feels like a small eternity until Asterion stops again. Perfect. Yes, you can look now. You turn your gaze. Somehow, you're back near the start of the hallway. You could have sworn you were halfway through when you started looking at the wall, and you're more than sure you should have reached the end, considering how long you kept walking forward. The left side of the hallway looks completely different, however. Instead of the clustered assortment of artifacts from all sorts of cultures and eras, the items on display are more neatly organized and seem from roughly the same time period. This is where I keep what I can remember from Crete. Sometimes Labyrinth's dust brings up old, lost things. I do not understand it, but I will not look a gift horse in the mouth. I apologize for the hassle, but I did not want any of the previous masters to know this was here. Well, Asterion! Asterion's starting to trust us a little more now. He was like, he just admitted, he's like, I've never shown the previous masters, but I'll show you. Aw. Well, I'm very thankful that you're sharing this with me, Asterion. I promise to be careful with it. You spend the rest of the afternoon with Asterion examining all the artifacts and looking for fragments of writing that could have stood the test of time in less ideal circumstances. The Minotaur takes his time explaining each and every one of them to you, and you patiently and eagerly listen to his stories. Once you have a good selection of engraved metals, stones, clays, and carved bones, you command the hotel to create exact replicas. Then you return everything to the display exactly the way you found it and head back to the office. Let's check in on the R&D team. Your R&D team made some progress, but no project was completed. Fair enough. Let's check in on the exploration team. Your team got really lucky. Ooh, found 14 raw materials. Oh, it looks like you found something else. You obtained a clay tablet narrating a small tragedy of human folly. You read by opening the files in the menu. Nice! We got a lot of... Oh, Asterion, what's wrong? Later in the afternoon, you found Asterion going over the letter again. He put it away as you approached. Afterwards, Vulgar? Oh yeah, Vulgar, Far Beyond the World. That's a good one. I like Vulgar for Far Beyond the World. I don't really care for the visual novel. I don't really care for Far Beyond the World, but I do like the, I like Vulgar. I like Vulgar a lot. Anyway. He put it away as you approached. Afterwards, his gaze would wander away from his task, no matter how small. His mind was elsewhere, perhaps swimming in the dark of the cold room in which he had been locked. Just what could that old man want in sending you and Asterion a letter? If only he had the grace to bow out and allow his memory to fade away from the Minotaur's mind. You asked Asterion to remain by your side. You manned the lazy reception together, which allowed you to keep his mind busy with chit-chat. When you talked about the world outside, his gaze would soften, as if his breathing was somehow perturbed. It should be as if his breathing. Oh wait, never mind. Okay, if his breathing was somehow perturbed, all you had to do was hum, perhaps sing, and he would follow your lead. But there was only so much you could do. You asked him to go out with you for some fresh air, in the hopes that it would help to clear out all the stale thoughts which smothered him. You told him to take his time, but he would not. I was made to work and bear the yoke, he said. To which you responded with tender grace, if that's so, then would you be so kind to tidy up the garden where Lord Hades' statue is? Your words were music to his ears. He wasted not a single minute and trotted down to his task, one which would hopefully bring him some measure of peace. And also, there goes my freaking headphones again. Okay. Some alone time as much as he needed, and if he was unwilling to allow it for himself without a proper excuse would do him well. And so you spent the rest of the afternoon alone in your office looking over the previous master's documents and belongings. The drawers were filled with finely organized folders containing intricate records of all the guests the hotel had housed, going back to the early 20th century. And yet the paper could not lie. Jean-Marie's methodical record-keeping was replaced almost overnight by Clement's contemptuous carelessness. Lipstick marks on the same sheets were Asterion scrawls detailed damage to rooms and facilities. The reports crossed over with a thick black ink. Cigar burns on complaints from staff about unpaid wages, pleading for their superior to take the mere minutes required to fabricate the diamonds they were promised. Spilled coffee and beer on a dozen or so check-in sheets of young women with fine and noble-sounding names. You then found another ledger shoved down to the very bottom of a drawer, which detailed the employment of every staff member from the 40s to centuries back. Every new worker and what they were owed, their date of retirement, plans for how they would be cared for even in their frailest old age. Employees from 100 different countries, China, Mexico, Egypt, Brazil. And after spending hours sorting through your predecessor's mess, you got up from your chair and looked out the window. The sky above, a snaking mass of clouds, letting through only shy peaks of the sunset orange above them, and the wretched valley below, stained with thousands of years of injustice, nevertheless provides a soothing breeze. What happened to all those people after Clement threw them out? One can only hope they made it to find their way home unscathed. However, seeing how sudden his tantrum was, there's no way of telling. And since at least a handful of employees had left their passports here, who's to say they got out with their savings in hand? This is the legacy Clement left behind, a paper trail of mismanagement, a consumed survivor, and a generation of displaced people. Now that man who had made his crime seem like a youth's foolishness has the gall to make himself known once more. The timeless sky, the breeze untainted by man-made smoke and soot, the comfort of your office, all together, they can do much to ease one's mind, but not enough to rid you of the bale at the back of your tongue. You look down to the valley, a place both cursed and beautiful. How cruel are the gods to mix a drop of mercy with a sentence of eternal damnation. Far down, all the way down, from the safety of the hotel, you see it squirming, a drop of the gods' curse, alive even today. It's Argos, doing something by the exit below. It's been a few days since he last called you. It's about time he caused trouble once more. You lay a hand over your armband. This time he can do no damage. Even if you wanted to command Asterion out, not even your desire could cause the Minotaur pain now. You know, I was thinking, guys, I mentioned it earlier in a group today. I was like, you know, I should play the Asterion route, where you treat him like crap. And I wonder what would happen. You guys would hate. I don't want to though, because it's so bad. But I want to do it because I know it's part of this visual novel. Can you imagine? I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna just beating Asterion and whipping him. Oh, I feel bad. No, I don't want to do it. I'm gonna have to eventually though. Once I finish like catching up to everything with this, then I'm gonna probably do that route. But you know him well enough to realize that even just Argos' flute is enough to cause distress, and so, like a disgruntled neighbor, you make your way down the spiral staircase. And out to the valley. Oh boy, what do you want, Argos? What do you need now? He does not see or hear your approach. He's absorbed in his work, placing a few objects by the feet of one of the statues lining the hotel's exit. The snake, the labyrinth's foreman, how sick it is that this being, whose mission is to torment Asterion, could not bring about a fraction of the harm a crazed, twisted human could achieve. One must wonder how frightful Argos' sadism can be when the snake holds no power to bring his victim out himself. Oh, thanks, Blue Fangs. I hope you have a great time with your relatives. Hopefully it'll be fun, and hopefully you stay cool. You touch the armband. Now, neither do you. Hello, Argos.
Gah! Master! How did you...
I saw you from my office window. Seemed like you were trying to start trouble again, so I thought I should just come down and get it over with.
Trouble indeed. I know all about it. But get it over with, sir. You have only just arrived. Why the hurry?
I really don't have the time or patience for your antics. I'd rather you just tell me what you have to, then I'll tell you what I think of it, and we both go on back to our lives.
Oh my lord, what is it that ails your spirits? Has the Minotaur failed his duty somehow? Has a guest disrespected your hospitality?
Not a word about Asterion. He's done nothing to cause any ill will, and our guests bring only joy. Don't imply such things again. I won't stand for it.
I have overstepped, have I not? I regret my words and the distress they have brought upon you, my lord. It is not my goal or desire to bring strife to you. Yours should be a life showered with the finest of pleasures, plentiful in milk and wine, much like Elysium is said to be.
You say that, but you've caused me nothing but strife, second only to what we experienced recently. I received a very unpleasant letter from Clement a couple of days ago, you know. It reminded Asterion of everything that happened to him and the previous guests. It's all fine now, but I'm still not in the mood to deal with you on top of all that. The snake's gaze drops to the ground as he readjusts his pelt. His shoulders droop, his tongue shoots out half a dozen times, his tail coils around itself. At last he looks back up to you like a child at the teacher.
Well, it is my duty to inflict distress and grief upon the hybrid bull. I am also meant to assist you in your affairs. Sire, with all the humility of my slithering servitude, which cannot hope to possess the greatness of the human mind, please allow me to interject. Are you sure this letter comes from Clement?
Who else could it be? I don't know anyone else who'd do something like this.
Could it be a prank? Mankind is supposed to be playful, yes. Maybe a reprobate has perchance set out to bring grief to your lordship.
A reprobate... Oh my gosh, these words! These freaking words. Can't read this. A reprobate like you, perchance?
Me bring you grief? Perish the thought. For your most esteemed master, I wish only joy and glory.
Gentler than rain, the snake lets out a sweet, playful hiss. Sure, whatever. So, Argos, why are you going to call me out here today? What are you planning this time?
My moment to shine arrives. Indeed, I have yet another task for you and your followers. I've gathered a treasure trove of artifacts for you, my lord. You may possess them in their inscrutable knowledge of...
No, thank you. Oh, damn. Oh my god. MC is so done with him. I love this because you usually don't see this. The MC is so done with him. It's so funny. Oops, sorry.
Pardon?
If your proposal hinges on sending Asterion out, I'll have to deny it regardless of the reward.
But sire, what I have here is truly a fortuitous finding. It's a essential document which Clement threw down into the valley during his rage.
It doesn't matter. I'm not going to send Asterion out. Even if I wanted to, I'm forbidden from doing so.
Forbidden? Why, you are sovereign over this land and its laws. Just what could possibly prohibit you from doing as you please?
Oh, many things. My staff, for starters. They've learned the truth of Asterion's past and will revolt if I even think about mistreating him.
Then find new, better workers. They are as disposable as broken tools.
Oh, Argos, have you learned? Argos has learned about capitalism. Argos has indeed learned
about capitalism from the lovely United States of America.
You rub your temples and give him a glare. Argos shrinks back on himself. People aren't disposable. Bad, what's this raccoon doing here? There's no trash here. Get out. Throw it. I'm gonna throw stuff at you. Get out. I'm gonna throw trash at you. Leave.
Get out of here. Forgive me, from your tone, I assume again, a fox paws, as they say. But my point still stands. Being peer pressured by your staff doesn't mean you are prohibited.
Maybe, but neither do I want to mistreat Asterion, and there's a third factor as well. You tap the lead armband. This.
Oh? What a drab piece of jewelry!
This armband is part of a contract, Argos. It binds me from sending Asterion out here.
What do you mean? That's impossible! You can't forbid yourself from doing the Master's duty! The Labyrinth would never enable such a thing!
We were a bit creative, you see. If I send Asterion out or allow anyone else to coerce him, then this band will amputate my arm. The snake's eyes pass over your armband as if trying and failing to find anything noteworthy about it. It is as though we cannot comprehend what you mean. In other words, if I send Asterion out, I will bleed to death. The contract is binding and cannot be revoked. I will never ever be able to send him out. Chances are he'll never come down here again for as long as I live. And believe me, I intend to make sure my successor upholds the same standard. Yeah, man. Last part. I got the band. I'm being a good boy. I'm being my character's being a good boy. He's not doing anything naughty. I'm making sure that he treats Asterion with proper respect and is kind and caring towards him. Now, after I catch up, eventually I will play the Ruthless route where I treat Asterion as he should be treated. Asterion will be treated as he should be treated when I replay the Ruthless route. And I probably just lost a bunch of subscribers from saying that. Oh, jeez. This is the end of your mission, hopefully the end of it for all eternity. I'm putting a stop to this senseless torture for good. All at once, Argos crumbles. He sways and leans back as though being swung around. The snake holds and squeezes his head until a knife of gray iron sinks into his breast and severs his life thread in a pang of agony. He crumbles like flowers undone, torn from their stalks, and cries like a boy mourning his father.
No, by the 12! My bright-eyed Athena! My all-powerful Zeus, this can't be!
He lunges forward and grabs you up in a hug. Oh, why is these Argos? You're such a... Oh, I hate Argos so much. And I was told, oh, you have to understand Argos. No, what is there to understand? He enjoys his job. He enjoys torturing this man. Jeez. As he should be treated at all. He is. I love Asterion. Asterion, he's easily one of my favorite furry visual novel crushes. He's great. I really do. He's up there with my top 3. He's written so well. He's written so well, and you know, I understand this visual. You know, Minotaur Hotel is not for everyone. It's very slow paced, but it's written so well, and the characters are really written so exquisitely that I don't mind. And I think Asterion, like, he's written so well. Like, it's not just like, oh man, I just met this new guy. I guess I'm going to kiss him and do all these things. Like, it's really slowly developed your relationship, and I think it's great. There's more to his story, as you will see. Are you talking about Asterion, or are you talking about Argos?
He corrupted you, tarnished your very flesh with his curse. You are Satan, my lord, dirty with this fetid contract. There must be a way to release you from these shackles, a loophole in inconsistency.
There's no turning back. This is how things will be from now on for good. So I just suggest you take your little treasures.
Forget the treasures! What are they good for if they can't? If I can't? By the 12, what a wretched contract!
He lets out the chest-heaving, heart-rending sobs of a child. Perhaps this is what he deserves. The snake meant to torture a prisoner. And yet what harm has he brought compared to the dozens, hundreds of masters before you who held the power to stop all harm from coming to the Minotaur did not? Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And you know what, Bad? I completely agree with you in that regard. Like, the art style is not, I don't 100% sync with the art, but I mean, this is one of those visual novels that shows you, like, just because the art style for, and and no offense to the artists of this game, like, I don't want them to take offense, but just because, in my opinion, the art style isn't that good for this, it shows that just because the art style isn't necessarily good for a visual novel, does not mean it cannot be good. And I think the writing for this more than makes up for it. The writing And the characters more than make up for the fact that the art is subpar. It's not terrible. It's not the worst I've seen, but it's not the best I've seen. It's okay. And I think, you know, like I said, I think the writing more than makes up for it. And the characterization. Especially the fact that your character is a little bit different. It's not your basic shonen, I'm going to say it like that, basic shonen visual novel character where it's like, oh, they're a senior in high school, or oh, they're a freshman in college. It's like, this is a person that's already had developed a life before changing to this new life. They were an adult with a job, with a, you know, with a well-to-do career and a well-paying job. So it's different, and I like that. It's something different. You don't really see that a lot in visual novels. Something new. And yet, what harm has he brought compared to the hundreds of I read that. This sorry beast is but a blip in the grand scheme that has brought Asterion to much suffering. I don't want to hug him. But I have the humanities background, so I'm supposed to be nice to people. I don't want to hug him, though. I really don't. I don't want to hug him. Oh, I have to do it, though. I'm humanities. I gotta be nice to people. Fine, I'm gonna hug him, guys. Perhaps a torturer like him in the strictest sense of justice should not deserve much in the way of kindness. The gods in their whim sentence mortals to grievous fates. What is there to understand in it? And yet, regardless of how unfair it is for him to grieve at all, for this brief moment you can offer a measure of sympathy. Like Asterion does to his lyre, you hug Argos in return with all the open-heartedness of a father. Your hands lie over his scalipia. I can't read these words. And what a contrast they are to the Minotaur's wide back. It should be no surprise that the snake is lean, but in truth he is beyond bony. He tenses up as you squeeze. You think he may slither away at the contact, but his shoulders relax as he whimpers and groans. His own grasp tightens. He sobs into your chest. Your shirt is getting wet from tears and snot, but you graciously ignore it. You constrict him against you just a bit every other labored heave. What peculiar tapestry the gods have woven, is it not? Here lies the foreman, a wretched serpent who nonetheless could never cause a fraction of the damage Clement had. Did the old man ever feel grief like this? Can he fathom the days and nights Asterion spent locked in the cold room? And the gods, wherever they are, do they remember this forsaken land and the loathsome prisoner they left behind? And Argos himself, do they think of him? He may be above Asterion, but he's still a cursed prisoner surviving off of bugs and rodents. But when you look at him, when he speaks to you, is he cognizant of the wretchedness of the fate he's been assigned? He bears his duty like a badge of honor, when in truth it is a shackle as tight clasped as the Minotaur's. He gives you one final squeeze, head still buried in your chest. You may not wish to let go, but there is no delaying the distangling of limbs. You ought not apologize for your actions. The contract, the armband, all of it is fair and just. And yet, after witnessing Argos' wailing, wouldn't it only be fitting to say you are sorry? One should never apologize to a torturer, however. So instead, you say the second best thing. It's unfortunate things have come to this, but it is what it is.
I see.
The snake looks to the statue trinkets he had been placing at the feet of the statues, then back to you.
My intention was for you to send Asterion deep into the valley to retrieve another offering, but in truth I meant to deliver the reward to you regardless of the results. So go on, have it. Forget the task, just take it. It should belong to you regardless.
An orange-colored clay dish with a black Minotaur painted on it. A set of clay dolls mounted on a single base, a round Minotaur holding a human's right hand and a snake person holding the man's left. Almost a nativity with how wide they smile. And under it all is a sheet of parchment, aged, but as intact as the day it was created. What's all this? Argos looks at the clay dolls as he rubs the forearm on his snotty nose. He says nothing until he moves closer and picks up the sheet of paper.
This is a copy of the contract that gave birth to this very realm, at least a fragment of it. The Labyrinth's constitution. Your contracts are powerful, my lord, but make no mistake, a human's will can never compare to that of the gods. You will find that no attempt at amending or revoking this document will bear fruit. It is superior to us all, and we are all bound to obey it. You will glimpse much of the Labyrinth's inner workings by poring over it.
He extends it to you for a flash. His sorrow dies out and only resolution remains. Argos gave you the Labyrinth's constitution. You can read in the contract section of the files menu. Thank you, Argos. I'll make good use of it. Actually, can we read it real quick? I am going to... Hopefully it's not that long. Okay. Mementos. Tax contracts. How long is this? Oh, gosh. Oh, it's long, but I have to read it because this is probably really important. Okay. Labyrinth's Constitution, a collection of scraps containing sections of the Labyrinth's Constitution. In truth, these pieces of parchment are merely a copy. The original Constitution of the Labyrinth does not exist in paper, and in fact was never meant to be read by mortals. Its original format is beyond human understanding, and even today it lies hidden from sight. This document, created by a scholar in times long past, is an attempt at translating a section of the Constitution into a human-readable format. The translator tried to translate to the best of his skills the peculiar calligraphies for which the original was written. The hybrid Asterion of Crete, begotten by the nymph Pisces and adopted son of King Minos, is henceforth damned for his meekness and sentenced to eternal torture. In accordance with the hybrid's trial, the Olympians staked each a drop of their ichor. One by one, each deposited their power on the threadcutter's rhyton. From the shared bounty, a realm is created to imprison the damned hybrid and all who the Olympians deem guilty of the most reprehensible crimes against divine order. Fragment A. By the gods' combined ichor, the labyrinth is created, a prison for those deemed eternally unworthy of respite. Through their ichor, each god is allowed to leave a living legacy in the realm. Olympus holds the right to judge and sentence souls to the labyrinth. For a soul to be sent to the labyrinth, it must be judged by the 12 Olympians and Lady Hystie and Lord Hades. Lord Zeus, in accordance with his compromise to fairness, shall only cast a vote if a tie has been achieved after all others casted their votes. A soul shall be deemed guilty only if, after all 14 have voted, there is a majority of votes deeming them guilty. Fragment B. Upon the signature of this document, bright-eyed Athena shall pick a man to take on the role of Master of the Labyrinth, henceforth called Master. The Master shall receive ownership of this realm. He may transfer, sell, borrow, and bequeath it to any individual born of human parents. Ooh, okay, so that's interesting. So it has to be... Oh, wait, to any individual born of human parents. Well, so, what if... Is it possible... This is human parents, which means 2. I don't know if they've already announced this. Is it possible for a supernatural creature to be born from 2 human parents, I wonder? Oh, okay. Here's more too. Only a male can take on the role of Master. Huh. The heroes of Bright-Eyed Athena and their lineages are forevermore forbidden from taking on the role of... The heroes of Bright-Eyed Athena and their lineages are forevermore forbidden from taking on the role of... Oh, role of Master. Okay, so Athena's lineage cannot... Oh, okay, this is interesting. No half-humans. Okay, so it has to be human completely. Okay. Should the master perish, then ownership of the realm shall transfer to whomever the deceased master picked as a heir. In the absence of such a heir, then the master's oldest living male offspring shall receive it. Should there be no male offspring, then the master's oldest male sibling shall be picked. If there are no siblings, the oldest living nephew. If there are none, then the closest ascending male relative shall be picked. Okay. If there exists no appointed heir and there are no applicable living relatives, then the token of ownership reverts to the overseer, who shall then select a new master among mankind. The Olympians shall vote and pick an overseer. With the exception of the overseer, the gods of Olympus and their associates, Lady Hystie and Lord Hades, are hereby forbidden from entering land without express invitation from the master of the realm. Huh. Fragment C. Asterion is sentenced to eternal torture, and the Master is sovereign in his divine mission of bringing him punishment. The Master, sovereign lord of the labyrinth, must use his human ingenuity to bring about the punishment he deems fitting to the prisoner. The prisoner's body shall bend and shift according to the Master's command, so fitting punishment may be applied. However, the prisoner shall forever maintain his essentially hybrid infamous shape. Okay. So Asterion cannot appear to look like a human. Okay. The labyrinth will pull the lost wanderers and dregs of mankind into itself, henceforth known as guests. The master must abide by a teaching of Lord Zeus and offer hospitality to the guest. It is his duty and the realm's mission to provide them with respite just as much as it is to torture the prisoner. The master holds the right to employ and recompense guests to aid in his mission. The labyrinth shall pull in people in accordance with the master's specifications from whatever location is appointed by him. Unless otherwise stated, the labyrinth shall pull in lost beings located anywhere under the fragment but no deeper than the surface of the earth. Fragment E. The labyrinth's fauna, flora, and geography will act as to bring the prisoner suffering in whatever way is possible. The master may, through contract, determine which forms of life the labyrinth may spawn and which behaviors they may display. Fragment F. The labyrinth shall materialize and fabricate the materials means for the master to realize his mission. The labyrinth shall provide the material means demanded by the master, who holds the right to grant similar permissions to others. The labyrinth shall not materialize salt, gold, silver, Tyrene purple, spices, saffron, and other such objects which are currency or analogous to it. Bright-eyed Athena during the creation of the labyrinth will provide a finite list of banned substances which must be approved by the overseer. Okay. Alright, I like this. So we're getting a lot of ideas of what's what. Okay, so the master... Okay, so the master's always a human male then. A full human male. Interesting. Huh.
Of course you will. You are...
Oh, wait. Actually, hold on, guys. Before I do that, I gotta run. I'm gonna get some water. This throat... Argos' voice is a lot for me. I'll be right back. And then I'm probably gonna stream for about another hour. I'm gonna stop at like 6-ish. Not too long, but enough time just to get, just enough time to get some things going. But anyway, I will be right back. Alright, everyone, I'm back. I just need some water. Like Argos' voice takes a little bit out of me. That's all.
Of course you will. You are a wily one, master.
But what about you? What do you do now that you won't be, torturing Asterion?
Ow!
A desert wind howls as the foreman's gaze shies away. What life could this wretched being have now? Would you mind answering a few of my questions?
Your wish is my command, master.
Do you have any family? Is there someone waiting for you down the depths of the valley? A village of snake people or a magical animal of sorts? Anyone you could talk with?
Oh, but of course! There's my pelt for starters.
You mean the one you're wearing?
Yes, what else? It's been handed down for generations of Argio. It is on evidence and our constant companion. And that's not all. You've seen the kind creatures who roam this valley. The crawling, shrieking ladies and all their family of cold-born beings.
Yes, but they don't talk, do they? It's not company. You just mentioned having generations before you. Do you have a father or grandfather?
I have pedigree, my lord, but not in that sense. I did not meet my predecessors, no. They toiled in their own time, and now I bear their mantle.
So you've been alone here for... How old are you? Who raised you?
I was no helpless infant, my lord. I raised myself as all serpents ought to. And what a puzzling question that is. How old am I? How should I know? Do humans count and name each day and night? I would never bore myself with such a task.
So you grew up alone and you don't know how old you are? But that doesn't make sense. How do you know how to speak or what you're supposed to do? You mentioned the Greek heroes and gods, but how do you even know who they were and what they did? His smile broadens, but his eyes remain half closed as if in caution.
Can't you guess it yourself?
I can't see any logical explanation, no.
The labyrinth tells me, master. Its minds have told me all I need to know. It has been a long time since they last spoke, but all I know comes from them.
That's... No, Argos, I've never heard of such a thing. This place is not one but multiple minds.
Just like any regular human. Or perhaps does my lord like the competing wants and desires that so plague mankind? Do you not feel conflict, greed, and lust clashing with humility and chastity?
Listen, having a set of wants at odds with each other is not the same as having multiple minds. That's a whole different thing.
You still have much to learn. Do you perhaps think your mind alone is capable of commanding the realm to craft all that you may wish for? The labyrinth's mind hears your plea, reads your instructions, and they do the dirty work of putting it all together. Say, have you tried creating life yet? A pet, a tree, flower, perhaps?
I remember trying to make flowers, yes, but with no success.
Of course not. You barely know the full extent of your powers. And you've already signed them off to the hybrid. How about I teach you a trick? A little revelation for your personal enjoyment.
Well, we did read the contract. It did say he could make plants and stuff. The snake slithers away, taking off his pelt and draping it over one of the statues. An old man of imposing eyebrows who wields a trident. An old man wielding a trident. Oh, that must be Poseidon, right? Yeah, Poseidon. Poseidon's a Greek god, right? Poseidon. I bet you that's Poseidon. Before proceeding, however, he collects a book from what seems to be an inner pocket sewn into the pelt's back.
Think of life, master. How about one of those tiny lions domesticated by humans? A cat, that's what you call them. Or perhaps bees, hornets, flies, anything will do.
It is no more difficult than creating diamonds in the palm of your hand. From around your feet, 1, 2, 3 cats crawl into existence. From your fingertips, little thoughts grow into a plethora of bugs. For a moment, Argos and all this life suspended a moment of graze. Then one of the cats shifts its gaze away from the horizon and towards the statue and pelt. Like a compressed coil, they all burst and leap with sudden fury towards the foreman's discarded mantle. It lasts only a minute, just as you're about to make contact with it, your mind springs to action as well to command them all out of existence. Oh Oh, wow. What just happened?
You witnessed this too with the labyrinth's nature. Any flora will attempt to do the same if given the chance. Which is why a master long ago put in place a contract to forbid animal and plant life from being summoned above the valley. Now you know why you cannot create life and why the land above is a lifeless, deathless desert. This and much more have I been told by the labyrinth's immortal minds.
Thank you for showing me this. I didn't know.
Of course you didn't. The hybrid you keep above, he's full of seldom shared secrets. Ashamed of it all, I imagine. I would be too. Every secret unveiled comes with knowledge of what he's been through. I've barely seen him in my life, but I know much of the past as hooves of a tread. He longs to live a fantasy of being like any other human. He would rather have you and everyone else, all your staff, kept away from the truth.
And what truth are you talking about?
All of it, every crumb and morsel of his sentence, so none will pity him. If you would care to know my opinion, he is pitiable, perhaps one of the most so among all victims of the god's ear. What a wretched, cursed fate. But he does not wish for you to think so. You would do well to as much as possible. Let him enjoy normalcy.
Why are you telling this? Are you supposed to be his torturer instead of my counselor?
No. You are supposed to be the jailer. I am meant to be your assistant. Over all these centuries, how often do you think the Argo, my ancestors, were the ones who raised a hand against the hybrid? You are the Lord, thrice blessed by the Olympians to bring about justice. I am merely here to witness, to teach, and to spur. But that does not answer your question, why I said that. I am no fool, my lord. When you asked about my companionship, did I notice a drop of worry? Or was it care? Did you pity me for my upbringing, for the life I lead here? I am not as proud as a hybrid, sire. I am honored knowing you would dedicate even the smallest shred of your attention to my well-being. The Minotaur, I hope he cherishes you too. You are shaping up to become a most peculiar lord. Thousands of years, none saw fit to try and stun as foolish as that wretched armband which tarnishes your visage. Are you surprised by my words?
I'll admit, you've shown an unexpected side of yourself today. It is surprising, to say the least.
Make no mistake, I am still bound by duty, but bringing grief to Asterion is only part of it. I must teach you about this land and the power you wield, so you may become the finest lord yet. I suppose finest is a bit beyond our grasp now, isn't it? As long as you have that armband, which would seem to be until death do your part. But my duty remains. If you would tolerate me every now and then, I would enjoy revealing to you a few more of the labyrinth's secrets.
Don't get me wrong, the offer is tempting, but you're sounding quite treacherous today. If the Olympians, whatever they may be, won't strike you down for this, whatever, then sure, I may accept your offer. But I have to ask first, are they offering me this so you won't be alone down here? Are you... Oh.
Me lonely? I have my pelt, a dozen anthills, and voices which speak inside my head. Of course I am, but it's not kind of you to point it out. Then again, kindness is hardly my strong suit either. I will admit I've grown fond of our clashes of wit. 'Tis like the old tales, it all breaks such warmth to my heart.
Uh-oh.
Did you hear
What the hell? Light and sound are washed away as it, whatever it is, approaches. Your instincts push you to flee back to the hotel, but an unnatural rumble fills the air. A deep bass drilling paralysis near both muscles. Who is that? What happened? What? Wait, it's like a wooden ox. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. The snake himself reels back as though leaping out of the way, but the creature's presence petrifies him just as much as it does you. Your eyes meet and morality is laid bare as thoughts rush forth between the two of you. Going to die. It can't end like this. I was sloppy. It will end before I feel anything. No, I can't die yet. The snake's eyes shift towards the hotel's entrance and then to statues around you. Muscle is drawn taut, strains, and then bursts as you and Argos leap out of the way, just as the thing drops its head to ram and gore its target. Just as you turn and run back to the hotel, you catch sight of Argos throwing something to the side before slithering away. The creature's hooves dig into the ground and it bellows again, but it does not charge just yet. Only once you've crossed the hotel's threshold and turned around again do you hear at last hooves trampling the soil, a bellow, a hiss. The monster bucks before crashing its front legs down onto Argos' pelt. And when you look upward, you find the snake coiled around the shoulders of a tall god wearing a winged cape and sandals, which is Hermes, messenger of the gods. The monster bucks and stomps at the pelt again, then tries to dig at it with its horns. Argos opens his mouth as if to yell out a command. Before his voice rings out, you can already anticipate it.
You almost killed me, wretched imbecile, he would say. And that's my heirloom, a sacred object used in the gods' worship.
That's what one would expect from the foreman. But the creature's bellowing drowns out his treacherous hiss. He's weak and powerless before this thing. Argos then hides himself behind the god's shoulders away from your sight, and that's when you notice something on the ground by the pelt. A weathered, leather-bound book lying wide open on its spine. In trying to gore Argos' pelt, the creature stomps and kicks the book, sending a few of its pages flying off with the wind. Once its page passes over the hotel's threshold, landing not too far from your feet. You obtained a stray page. I'm going to read this while we worry about this. Wait. I want to read this first. We can wait for that. That's not important right now. Wait, which one is it? Wait, I feel like I missed it. Wait, can I go back? Stray page, okay. So it's a stray page. I have to read this, guys, I'm sorry. I have to read it. I want to find out what it is, stray page. Where the stray page at? No, I can't read it, where's it at? Wait, where's it at? I want to read it, no. Oh, wait, is it considered a item? Oh, I can't look at it? Oh, dang it. I was like, I want to read it. Okay, I can't read it. I'm going to command the creature to go away because I don't want Argos to die. I'm being nice this route. Away, you wretched thing. Be gone. The thing turns towards you and then tilts its head left and right to get a good look at this mortal who would command it. It pauses at the door, prepared to charge, but then something shifts in its eyes. Thirst for violence gives way to a bitter obedience. The creature looks up to the pelt, and one can hope realizes the futility of its efforts. It turns around and, still looking back at you, disappears into the valley. Whew. You can come down now, Argos. The thing is gone. Are you okay? The snake offers no response, so you approach the statue and look up at him. Argos?
It almost caught me. If I was just an inch to the left, it would have gored my eye out.
Jeez, are you injured?
No, but I feel lightheaded.
Get down here. You might be having some kind of reaction. I'll make some water for you. Drink it. The foreman clings to the statue even as he drops down from it, not unlike a child trying to climb down from a tree too tall. Dazed as he is, he displays no concern for his self-image. He dips his snout right into the bowl of water you saw him and takes shy, rhythmic gulps. His eyes are red and his cheeks are streaked with tears. Every dozen or so gulps, he stops to breathe, rub his dripping nose, and let out another sob.
I don't like this.
Getting attacked by a monster out to torture you? I don't want to kick you while you're down, but now you've had a taste of what Asterion must have gone through.
That's not... the pelt, I have to find it.
The foreman searches around the foot of the statue. There it lies, intact, element marred by a few hoof prints. His eyes hunt further, however, a bit off to the side. Wide open and hemorrhaging pages is a leather-bound volume once hitting in the pelt's inner pocket.
My book! No!
He leaps, ignoring the pelt, to cradle the destroyed book against his chest and let out all his accumulated sobbing. His first few tears today had a childlike quality to it, while the second was fraught with fear. This, however, is the chest-splitting cry of loss beyond words, harsh enough to tear one's throat apart and turn the mourner into a coughing mess. Any attempt to gather the pages is doomed, even now as he tries to hug and put them back together. Half a dozen slip from his grasp and fly away. Come on, you don't need to cry. It's just a book if you want. I can get you any one you want.
No, this one's one of a kind, and now it's ruined. It's missing pages too.
I can help you find them. They can't have been blown off too far. If we start searching now, we might be able to find them all. Just leave the power of the statue. I don't want a repeat of this incident. Foreman is so engrossed in his grief that he doesn't answer, yet you follow the wind's direction to find half a dozen scattered pages a few meters away and a handful more stuck on dried bushes. You take a look at the contents, but only see strings of writing in an alphabet you've never seen before. You focus and command the realm to use its magic to translate it, but the letters don't budge. Defeated, you go back to picking up pages just as Argos joins you. If you don't mind me asking, what's this book about? Is it the Odyssey, the Iliad?
No, it's a special book. I can't tell you what it's about.
Why? I thought I was your boss. Why should you get to keep secrets like that?
Because it's only for the Argo. It's ours.
Can I write up a contract changing that?
No, please don't. Don't take it from me. I promise you won't. Oh, I'll never talk to you again.
Oh, feisty, aren't you? I never expect such words from my most loyal servant.
I'm having an awful day. I have my limits, too.
Once there are no more pages left to be found, Argos hides in the shade of a statue and starts piecing his book back together. But the work is arduous. It takes up to a minute for a foreman to check each page over as he, too, seems to struggle with its script. Perhaps exhaustion overtakes him. After a certain point, the snake just hugs his pile of papers and looks off to the distance. His tongue darts in and out, tasting the air, but ends up catching a stray tear that had been clinging to his chin. You, the statue, and the massive valley all tower over this abandoned boy who only dreams of going back home.
Mark, there's something I've been thinking about for a while now. What I'm about to ask may be a bit puzzling to you, but would you say I'm a good person?
Oh, please don't make me answer that. Okay. I was like, I don't want to answer that. I let the game decide. I was like, please don't make me answer that, because I don't think he's a good person. But lately, this route has been really good. Oh. Argos, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but torturing people is fundamentally incompatible with being good.
But I haven't tortured anyone!
Are you sure? All this time you've been trying to convince me to send Asterion out. The first time you called me, he had a panic attack. Just hearing your flute is enough to get him anxious. You know, we've both seen what awaits him, and you don't seem to like it when it's done to you. What did you think would happen if Asterion came down here?
I know he can get hurt, but it's not me doing the torturing. That's not my job. I'm just here to help you do it.
And if I did send him out and he got injured, wouldn't you share responsibility for convincing me?
Let me try again. My duties as Argos aside, would you say I'm a good person?
I'm not sure I can separate you from what your job is or from what you've been trying to accomplish all this time. Being willing to torture someone or even to aid in it says a lot about a person. Listen, MC, we're gonna get real dark here for a minute, and you guys are not gonna like this. What does that saying go? Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. Oh, there you go. Good intentions pave the road to hell. I know the MC is trying to right now be like a moralist, but unfortunately, especially during our long human history, there have been many times where people have tortured because they believed it was for the greater good. And while it might not necessarily be a good thing, it's not. It's a philosophical thing, and I don't want to get into philosophy because that's a very, very complicated and long subject to get into. So, never mind. I was gonna get into it. I'm like, never mind. Being willing to torture someone or even to aid in it says a lot about a person.
I see. So I'm not a good person.
I can't say you are, no. You give him a pat on the back.
And yet, even with all I've done, all the grief I've tried to bring to Asterion, and despite your friendship with him, you still treat me well.
Well, I'm a humanities career, so I gotta treat people nice.
I'm just a detestable servant, even with all the luxury and friends you could wish for up there. But still, you are down here.
I suppose you being a bad person doesn't mean I can't tolerate you, or maybe even be your friend. I'm not the kind to mistreat others.
What a lousy master you are.
Yep, better get used to it.
Oh, I am already.
Oh.
I wish we had met under different circumstances. I would have enjoyed being your friend. A proper one.
Well, we could be friends if you dropped the whole torture thing.
We could, yes. But it would be wise for the frog to carry the scorpion. But would it be wise for the frog to carry the scorpion across the river? That is to say, I'm sorry, but I can't.
He looks away. Seldom was regretful when you put it like that. The snake bites his thumbnail or perhaps chews it. With his free hand, he hugs his stray pages closer. The two of you stand there as still as the god statue. All the commotion left you covered in sweat, which makes the valley's breeze quite welcome. Argos does not care for that breeze. Instead, it's your presence which soothes him.
I enjoyed my time with you, Mark. Now, you won't be sending Asterion out, I understand. But as I said earlier, I can keep teaching you about the labyrinth. Would you be up for...
I'll think about it. But you know, there is something that would really sweeten the deal for me. Would it be too much to ask you not to wear the pelt anymore? Even aside from being in poor taste, today I saw that's apparently also dangerous.
I can't deny that, and you haven't seen half of it either. I really only wear it when I speak with you. It's part of the ceremony. Usually I go without. Makes the monsters less active. So yes, I can do that. No more pelt, I promise.
Ew, no! Ew, no! Argos, no! I want him to wear the pelt! Oh no, he looks terrible about it! Oh no, I don't know! Ugh. Oh no. Oh, I don't like him when he's not wearing the pelt with his bald head. His weird bald... And yes, I understand the snake. They're not gonna have hair, but ew. I don't... I'm not... I don't want that. I don't want it. Ew. Jeez. He extends a hand to you, the gentleman. You, however, are gifted with the great heritage of mankind, which tells you that such a meek gesture won't do at all. You pull him in by the arm and bless the snake with the back-breaking hug he deserves, squeezing with the might of Poseidon's sea, both to inflict companionship and revenge. The foreman wheezes out a response.
My lord, I can't breathe.
Yet harder you hug, for he has earned your mercy in its fullest, multifaceted form.
I yield!
Indeed, only then do you let the rascal free.
I deserve that, I suppose.
Every bit of it, and 10,000 times more.
What a most kind monarch. I should go now. I've taken up too much of your time.
I do have other matters to attend to, yes.
And I'm sure it must be some blasphemous Minotaur protecting business.
It absolutely is.
What an odd master you are. You hold quite the affection for him, don't you?
If I didn't, I wouldn't be going through all this effort, would I?
Do you love him?
Why does everybody keep asking the MC if he loves... Oh my gosh, you guys are so annoying. Oh my gosh.
Do you love him? No, do not answer. Forget I even asked. This lad has seen so many masters, both frightful and kind, but never has it witnessed one such as you. Perhaps this is the will of the gods. On this matter, however, I should not speculate. It is not my place.
Argos slithers off into the night.
Good night, master. May you be the greatest lord this realm has ever seen. Whatever path you choose, I will remain by your side.
Bad, shut up, Bad. Get out of here. Everybody can see it. No, leave. Oh my gosh. In the safety of your office, you examine the 2 sheets of parchment you saved from Argos's book. No matter how much you glare and squint at them, however, the pages do not yield their content to you. Their script is written in symbols altogether alien to your eyes. So far, the hotel hasn't experienced difficulties with translating any language in particular, so why is this the exception? Unlocking the true contents of this document will take some effort, but perhaps it can be done with enough people. That's what R&D is for, one could argue. Oh, this is another project? We have too many projects! Damn it. During dinner, you remain quiet about what transpired down below. No reason to burden Asterion with Argos' shenanigans. You must be strong and bear this yoke yourself for your friend. Go on, as with any normal night. How was your day, buddy? It was a fine one. A guest approached me before checking out, and he said the sweetest thing. As soon as he laid eyes on me, in the blink of an eye, he rushed up to me and said that if I ever visit Malti, he knows a great hotel. A friend of his works there, and he could get me a great deal. He went as far as saying he would come and raise hell himself if anyone disrespected me there. What a nice sentiment. Indeed. The Minotaur supports his head with a hand on his chin while keeping his gaze fixed on you. This thing, the stream of humanity, is what I missed and wanted. And humanity missed you, whether it knows it or not. He lets out a drawn-out grumble as he readjusts his legs. You can just catch the clop of his hooves. Thank you. Without you, I wouldn't have any of this. One cannot tell who started, but after Nono drops by to deliver your meals, your hands find themselves side by side, touching on their flanks. Neither of you notice it while it lasts, but as soon as it ends, the emptiness lingers, sweet and nostalgic. Oh. Oh! MC! Mark, stop! Oh my gosh. Okay, somebody mentioned about talking to Robert in the lounge, so... Okay, so the wolf, yeah, the wolf has nothing to do with contract or tech, so I can't send him out. Oh god, the danger's so high. Surveying. What if I just send and let him rest? Okay, we're fine. Okay, I'm gonna do, I'll send, oh wait, Dakota, so, and then I send, okay, he has no danger. Memento, though. Okay, we'll do that. Yes, I'm gonna get to Robert. I'm trying. Alright, let's talk to Robert. He's a good demon. That's a contradiction, man. That's a contradiction. You can't say that. A good demon? I don't think they exist. Listen, and this is really especially since I just played, so Doom Eternal's on sale this week. By the way, if you haven't got it, buy it. It is a fantastic game. It looks gorgeous. But anyway, I bought Doom Eternal for the PC. It's the first time playing it, and it is so good. It is a great game. You should buy it. It's only $13. It's $13 for the base game. If you want the base game with the 2 story expansions, it is $23. I just bought the regular game for right now. But yeah, I heard all of it's good. All of it's fantastic. But anyway, so after playing Doom Eternal, I cannot agree that there's good demons, because that game, all the demons are horrible people. But anyway. Alright, so we're gonna hang out with Robert today. Yeah, let's talk to Robert. I don't remember what voice I gave him either. You head to the lounge, you look towards the familiar corner of the room and find Robert alone as usual. This time the demon waves at you while you pass by. You stop for some chit-chat. Well, what is today's curiosity, Mark? Eager, aren't you? I didn't even bring it up this time. I've come to enjoy our talks. It's not often I have an open conversation with a human who sees my true nature. In that case, would you be up for telling me a bit about that true nature? What is there to know about demons? Curious about my people. Very well, that I can answer, although I'm afraid what I have to say is underwhelming. There are many kinds of demons, and I can only speak of my people from the realm of Nuremberg. Let us make a comparison for a second, Mark. I met that Coda fella, the dragon. He has a bit of divinity in him. Not much, just a flickering flame, but it is there. Meanwhile, Lucas, or Luke as he prefers to be called, he is closer to you and I. He told me of his family, and he is from old pedigree, that of the Greeks. Their old mythical beings all carry a fragment of humanity, and some argue their oldest ancestors were humans modified by the gods. That is the case for Asterion, is it not?
I can see it in him, shining a steady flame of humanity. Mixed, however, an exquisite thing his soul is. On the topic of humanity, there is very little separating you and I, Mark. The demons of Nuremberg are imbued with a great deal of that which makes humans, unlike most others of our species. Our shell, however, is different from a human's. Chaotic, catonic matter, magma, as you can see. It makes good armor. The life of a demon is often dangerous, and so we are all equipped to defend ourselves. Your
Oh, okay. That was weird. That was weird. I had a weird beeping going on in my headphones. My headphones are crazy, I tell you.
Your classical demons of the spade-tipped tail kind are weaker and more adept at disguising as humans. It is useful for those who deal in souls. But my kind has no need for disguises. We rarely leave Nuremberg, and when we do, the usual charms suffice. Still, despite my appearance, I am gifted with a great deal of humanity. Which is why I've enjoyed my time here around others of our kind. I know my likeness sets me apart, but my job is to defend the souls of the poor against the misdeeds of the wretched. So I enjoyed here, the company of fine men and women. I hope my company somehow lightens your day as well, Mark.
You and Robert enjoy some time together, talking about his appreciation for humanity. You leave with a spring in your step. Let's check in on the R&D team. Your current team can complete a project. Do you want to complete your research, or continue working towards something else? Ooh, we could translate the pages. Yes, please.
Mark, I have the results with me. We've decoded the papers you sent over. Despite being written in an unknown alphabet, it corresponded to the Greek one without issues.
It also used a kind of cryptography, a very old traditional one called the Caesar cipher. That said, even now it remains unreadable. No matter how much I try, I just cannot put a single word together. It also seems to be gibberish to me, but perhaps you'll be able to glean something from it. What a puzzling paper. Back in your office, you sit down to look over your team's findings. The original papers have the same texture as all the contracts you've seen so far, flexible but firm and impossible to tear. The deciphered transcripts, meanwhile, are just like any regular sheet of paper, save for the fact that while you can recognize stray words, sentences refuse to come together in your mind. Or at least they don't for the first minute or so. The more you insist, the more each word finds its place and strings itself into the sentence around it. Here's what they reveal to the realm's true lord. Christios 80th of his lineage. I am Christios of Crete, the 80th Argos, and hereby I record my mandate's beginning. Hear my tale, my dear descendants, in the glorious lineage of Argos Panopetes, and inscribe within thy mind teachings. The son of me saw fit for my generation to undergo 3 trials, to preach among humans and to convince them of his glory, to steal an artifact from a museum, and to survive 30 days in the wilderness without aid. Whichever snake fared the best would earn the title of Argos Panopetes, but my treachery was so great that none dared to stand up against me. My feats were well known among my kin, so much so that many never thought of competing in the first place. Those who did, I deceived into thinking the role was worthless, a lie, and so they fell into obscurity. A handful persisted, but I spoke the language of their hearts and found finer callings that sang sweeter they then stood aside, and victory was mine. I arrived at the dawn of a new reign, Master John Marie's son of Bardex. He knew war and sought peace for his and his compatriots' minds. Accustomed me, I tempted him. He was a Christian mind, so I offered old knowledge of the gods and forgotten tales of his savior. 3 times they slid into his doorstep before he relented and prepared the order to send the prisoner out, but his oh god, I can't speak today! Was victory enough? I told them the tale of Joseph the Merciful, first master after Christ, who believed in the Son's mercy led him to release the Minotaur of his tortures. That was the path the early Christians threaded, and what price he was willing to pay for vain curiosity. Master Jean Marie's visage grew paler than death, and he lurked back into his feud. Never since has he accepted an offer of mine. This is the soul I shall crave for my role, that of an honor-bound deceiver. I shall merely draw forth what lies underneath the Lord's veneer of humanity, revealing his personal truth. The Master Heifer and Foreman locked into playing out their roles like actors on stage. This is our worship, and each generation's dance determines which deity will be honored. This Lord, what a fine lesson I taught him. I wonder, has he understood what his equites entailed? Perhaps he realizes now the weight of his shackles, how frightful unlimited power can be. Hereby I pledge my oath to play the role of honor-bound deceiver, to reveal the truth, and in doing so instruct the Lord. Fate is in humanity's hands, and we stand witness. You flip the page over. Dominique's 81st of his lineage. Bless my mind, Argon feats to be accurate as scales, as far as gravity, and as sprightly as a message from yourself or a blessed mist-scented iris. In the year of 2019, on the first day of June, I arrived in the labyrinth. One by one, I overcame the trials of the sun of May and earned the honor of carrying the role of foreman. Each one of my victories came from tricking my opponents, and that I bear with unrivaled pride. On the first trial, I and my opponents were sent out to lie and deceive the poor, downtrodden, and vulnerable. The night before, I spread rumors among them of a traveling band of scammers and taught them that tomorrow I would return to capture the villains if they would kindly play along my own trickery. We established a pact, the people and I, and with their help, I cheated my opponents out of their money. On the second trial, I was pitted against 3 opponents in combat. I spread the lie that the ceremony was delayed by 1 hour, and so my first opponent missed it. Neither did my second arrive to challenge me, for I knew the sweet song of his heart. He nurtured an affection towards the last in the village. I impersonated him and lulled her with furtive handwritten notes. We set up a meeting on the date and time of the ceremony. Then I revealed to my adversary his sweetheart waited for him. He abandoned his duty for love, and so was my victory assured. My third opponent was a hulking brute, longest and thickest among all, affected, however, a heart too kind, a will too soft. He was the sole breadwinner of his tragic family. His mother perished shortly after his youngest sibling was born, and his father was gravely ill. He feared taking the role of Argos Pennapiece, but tradition and honor pushed him nonetheless. I installed ideas into his father's mind. Who would care for the children if he left? Would the father get to see his oldest son before his own untimely demise? And so the father pleaded, and the son tearfully relented. On the last trial, my one remaining adversary and I were tasked with sneaking unnoticed into the temple to retrieve a relic. But he hesitated and dragged himself so mournfully during the trials. His will was lacking. I tampered with his ceremonial garments and sewed a chime onto its back, thus leading both to a swift defeat and a fine distraction that enabled my invasion of the temple. Let it be known, I had tricked and deceived my way to the top, but never did I break my word or utter a lie. A snake ought to take pride in his treachery. It is our duty to hone this craft much like a swordsman polishes his sword and the poet his words. The duty of the Argos Pennapiece is to be a thespian, play a role, construct a fiction, go on stage, and dedicate his performance to the gods. This, I state, is the truest spirit of the Argos Pennapiece, and with my mandate I shall prove correct the legacy of the 80th Argos, Christos of Crete. Know you all that come henceforth that Christos was my grandfather, the greatest Argos before the disgraceful revolt of Clement. His mandate was interrupted by the toddler's tantrum, but 8 decades later, his lineage came to finish its grand performance. Oh, what fun will mankind's champion and I have! Hereby I pledge my oath, joyously shall I play the role of a villain, the honor-bound deceiver as my ancestors put it, to instruct the new lord and reveal the deep truth of his character. Fate is in humanity's hand, and we stand witness. Oh, and the good master, too, stands witness. What a rare moment for a lord to come across the truth of the Argos lineage. There's only been one other instance of the sort since the first snake braved the valley. Nonetheless, the truth of their origin has remained concealed, though no amount of secrecy or magic shall stop you now, our good lord. Then we shall not patronize you. Surely one as masterful as you can muster up your own hypothesis. There's no need for us to say much more. Except, of course, when it comes to the dear prince. You have glimpsed the most powerful secret of the creature of threat, Asterion's safety. There is more to learn, however, before you may grasp the whole of the matter for sure. In addition, as liberating as the revelations you possess may be, to bring up the Argos at such a moment may prove grievous for the dear prince. How long has it been since you granted him the laurel wreath? That alone was a measure of liberation. To bring the snake back to his mind would end his moment of bliss. And it's only been a few days since a messenger delivered that wretched letter, has it not? No doubt you remember how it shook the prince's heart. Hear us now. It would be unwise to rope Asterion into his marriage before you have unraveled more of this mystery. Doing so would only bring needless distress. Have faith in your own mastery, and 1,000 blushes shall spring from your actions. The pages of Argos' diary have been added to the file secretary. Ugh. Oh, so Argos, maybe he isn't as bad as he thinks. Maybe he's not as bad as we did think. So it seems like he's more... What I got, and I could be wrong, and you guys are allowed to tell me if I'm wrong. So what I'm getting is Argos is doing this for one honor, because his grandfather was the previous... Sorry, his father was the previous, now I can't remember the word. Why can't I remember the word? Previous, quotations, torturer. So he not only has that, like, ancestral honor to uphold, but also the fact that he wants to find out what our true personality is like. That's also what he's trying to figure out. Let's check in on the exploration team. Looks like your team found something. You obtained a clay tablet revealing a child's hospitality. Sometimes one may be taken by wanderlust, eyes driven mad to witness beautiful things. When the halls and corridors grew silent and the bedrooms quieter still, you and your roommate slipped out. The air within the hotel had a velvety quality to it. All sounds muffled, even one's own breathing. Asterian's hooves sliding on the floor instead of crashing down barely made any noise. With half the lights turned off, the two of you dove in and out of darkness after every handful of footsteps. Your R's bumped together as Asterian's lumbering gait swayed left and right. At last, out you go into the night. A razor-sharp breeze blows in as soon as you open the door, making every inch of your skin feel more alive than ever before. Asterian walks ahead to shield you from the cold. Now that none might be bothered, Asterian speaks. The usual pleasantries to lucid one's tongue gives way to skittering thoughts and topics. The new guest, of course, but also a few words about the more peculiar among the ones who came before. Asterian wonders how Greta and Ishmael must be doing. The two of you walk to Luke's makeshift observatory, still standing from the other night. You light one of the red lamps, and that is enough. Under its gaze, you and Asterion sit down and get comfortable to enjoy a night of stargazing. This time, the Minotaur did not think to bring his lyre. Perhaps your company and your humming in unison suffices. The air thickens as Asterion tries and fails to hold in a giggle. The corners of his mouth curl upward as he pulls a notebook from his pocket. I took note of a few more poems today, as you told me to. Can I take a look? Of course. I just hope they don't bore you. And I hope you aren't writing these down just because I said so. Me, following your orders? Forgive me, sir, but for a moment I believed we were meant to be equals. Aw. So thoroughly equal that now you dare give me sass. My hands may struggle to learn new tricks, but my mind still has a few blessings yet. Good. You'll need that quick thinking to keep up with the 21st century. Now may I see your new poems? Here. Asterion shared nostalgic poems for you. Go ahead and read them in the Ooh, let's read his poems. Would it be Memento? Nostalgic poems. Oh, let's read these. Poems Asterion shared with you. Private hum to the new master stranger. Uncertainty of progress. Ah, how sighs in heart, in mind, in soul. What bargains and which dealings need to be bargained, learned, relented now. All fallows left so blank at whim. Please gentle be, O gods of men and slaves. Grant strength to be a shield, so prized and gilded. Used, esteemed, O trust enforced rigidly. To use of course, but polished keep as well responsibility. He'll own like me, I hope, with pride. What wisdom decade bound shall now the century-locked life hold reign? Ode to Hades and the creation of mastic trees and dainty bushes in the garden. At scent of mastic on the wind, my nostrils flare, that sharpest musk awakens every bone, but where the tender flush of dainty to find, its hairy leaves enlivening, the asphodels they brush my cheek, the drooping stalks of white-haired herbs, of hefty leaves do snake between my fingers, grow, take root, take breath. At hand no savor, spices not, yet precious sticky drips arise, at will from craggy hardened flesh of aged trees, refreshing all who passed. At least to all who know, this nourishment your sap holds forth, that nourishment from jade-like leaves amongst the knee-deep asphodels. The throny gum of mirth, O lord of many grows and bows to shade, your idol, but around these fields left quiet by the master you allow the brutish Auric lays. Allow him you, the senses souls, nostalgic laden craves and longs, my thanks and praise lie at your feet. Ode to the sounds of machines. In the dry nights of winter, on the roof of this exile, there's a noise that the wind brings, just the faintest of sounds blown from a universe out there. What makes Daedalus now? Do machines heavily winch swift down the roads, cross the track set, as is showed in the books brought out here to hear of the gears, wires, and the pulleys. Mechanics run so loud and so crowded that in this, even this, place, one can hear all the chugging, although faintly, of that wide, busy world one can wander. One can wander indeed, locked by the shackles of time, freed by imagining what moves past the valley where power, kind Hephaestus, has blessed you, and unstoppable grace. Huh. Even with no translation, you notice how rough Asterian's handwriting is. But some could argue there's a charm to it. A grown Minotaur has finely woven poems at a glance look as though written by a middle schooler. There's love in each shakily written letter, all of them pulled from the Minotaur's centuries-old mind. And to think that just a few weeks ago you found him in the cold room. Hundreds, thousands of human poets have written of time and how its march brings only grief, but how many, we wonder, speak of how sweetly it heals all wounds. You seem to be doing better with each passing day, buddy. Do I? No doubt about it. It's like you become a whole new person with every week I've been here. The Minotaur scratches his own ears and then lowers his muzzle. Thank you, my Mark. When my days are filled as they have been, while no opportunity presents itself to mope, I have to make myself useful. I can appreciate how high your spirits are, but, and forgive me if it sounds pedantic, I'm not sure I'd say you mope. Pardon? Moping gives the impression that you're overreacting or that your issues might not be important enough to warrant such a reaction. In other words, as pleasant as it is to see you happy, there's no issue with taking some time to figure out how you feel. Asterion crosses his arms, a breeze cutting across his back makes his fur stand on end. Sorry if this makes you uncomfortable, but when we got that letter a few nights ago, well, I was worried about you. Do you want to talk about it? My thoughts confuse me, Mark. I know not what to believe or say. If you want to hear, I fear what I can tell will bore you. It is nothing worthwhile. Don't say that about yourself. You're my friend, Asterion. What you feel and think means a lot to me. You are blessed with such kindness, Mark, and you are my friend, too. Aww. Or perhaps we, are blessed to have you in my life. Thank you, Asterion. In that case, would you trust me with knowing what's going on in that big old heart of yours? How have you been feeling since you received that letter? Am I even allowed to feel? What? Please do not take this as I am not implying you would forbid me, far from it. It's my sentence, Mark. The Olympians themselves determined that I deserve this fate. To have someone like you is a blessing, but is not what I was meant to experience. What Clement did was only to bring it all back to what this realm was supposed to accomplish, how things were meant to be. Am I allowed to be angry at him when the gods themselves said I deserve what his mandate wrought? You draw a breath and gather your thoughts, but the Minotaur doesn't give you a chance. He goes on, as if the thread formed ahead of him. When I get distracted, while tending to the hearth of Lord Hades' statue, I remember the cold room and catch myself having such troublesome thoughts. Like a calf kicking inside my chest or an arrow through my brain, I cannot help but hunch over and squeeze myself until it dies down. It dies down. I barely notice it begin. A paralysis runs from my tongue to my stomach, and in the span of a breath, full minutes pass into blind terror. At times it is humiliating. I never felt such thing towards the masters who tortured me. I took it all as what I well deserved. But through all these years I spent locked up, I felt a sorrow gnawing at my chest and a lead weight dropping in my head. I thought of all the guests, all my friends, what might have happened to them. The sorrow and pain, I am well acquainted with them, but the sting stampeding inside my chest is new, and it frightens me so. That's what I've been feeling. Scattered thoughts. Your sweet, kind-hearted man, crosser of deserts, hair of duties most unsightly, lord of host and guests, self-shackled king. Go on, do as your humanity compels you. Could it be that you're angry? No, master, I was never one to let wrath take me over. Not in life, much less in death. Have you been stopping yourself from feeling it? No, it is only... What reason could I have to feel so? Isn't it obvious? People and the gods did terrible things to you. Anyone in your place would feel wronged. But I was not wronged. In fact, they were righting me. The gods, after all. No. You don't deserve any of the things you've been through. I asked you about your emotions tonight. It means a lot that you're telling me so much, but I can't let you believe these things about yourself. You are a great, loving, and always kind soul. Look at the hotel. So many people have found a place of belonging thanks to you. The hotel, it's good, isn't it? Aren't you proud of it? It's my pride and joy, Mark. And it's yours. You are the soul of it all. No matter how many times you call me master, it can't hide the fact that this is your creation. You're amazing, Asterion. No matter what the gods said, this is real. More than their sentence could ever be. The Minotaur looks down at his own hands. Darkness shields his eyes from you. He swallows. It is labored, audible, a struggle against his own body. He opens his mouth to speak, but all he musters is a breath through his gritted teeth. You'll make me cry. He edges over, hoping and praying that some shred of the hotel's velvety silence will smother his whimpering, but nothing can contain a sobbing so old and deserved. Oh no, he's crying! Oh, okay, Gabe. We're gonna give me the option. It's not an option if I have to hug him. Maybe I don't. Maybe I want the ruthless path. Maybe I don't want to hug Maybe I don't want to hug Asterion. You know, maybe I don't want to hug him. Maybe like I'm like, nah, leave. You know, we'll let him cry. Can you imagine? Nah, we're gonna hug him. Evening, you gather back all that daunting day has torn asunder. You gather the man, you gather the bull, you gather the friend unto himself. As you unfold him in your arms, you bring all the pieces together. One by one, they are fitted and mended. Not all cracks are sealed, but those that are become melded with coal to weave a beautiful meandering network. You squeeze him hard until his arms hanging limp from his shoulders are consumed by a want too aged to ignore. His fingers curl, grazing your leg, and that spark is enough to push the Minotaur to hug you back. You can't even do it anyway, man. I don't have a choice. Yeah. His fingers curl, grazing your leg, and that spark is enough to push the Minotaur to hug you back. He sobs, groans, coughs. You place your forehead upon his, framed by his horns, and let him pour out all the chest-shaking sorrow unto you. The night alone bears witness to these two souls. The world would never know, but this is the true legend of the Minotaur and his 1,000 labyrinths. And this one, what a marvelous hotel you two have built, but how insignificant too, merely a tool to achieve this human thing you've shown us. Can you blame the Minotaur then for not wanting to let go? He holds on to you for as long as his chest heaves, and when the time comes, his rough-knuckled fingers refuse to abandon your shirt. And should one reprimand him for remaining close afterwards, shoulder touching yours, sharing that bit of warmth? You reach out and lay an arm over his shoulders, alone, unwatched, the two of you huddled together. You let time pass as much as the friend requires. Mark the kind, a coward, warm, sturdy man, and more, the gentlest master this desert realm has seen. Asterion the Great, the finest host in all of mankind's history. A soft groan, the Minotaur ponders. Why does this man extend such kindness to me? This time, however, he quiets down doubt and only almost flinches at the compliment. Perhaps it is not his place to know, or perhaps he refuses to look a gift horse in the mouth. Whatever may be the truth, what convinces him is the dream. He closes his eyes. There in the starlit darkness, he can enjoy the fantasy, as impossible as it might be, of what may beat inside this man's heart. The Hinterlands 3. Ooh, going back to these two. But guess what, guys? I'm going to stop here. Perfect place to stop. Back to these two. So, guys, thank you for stopping by. This was a great episode. Once again, a lot has happened. Learning a little more about Argos. So, maybe he's not quite as evil as I made him out to be in the beginning. So, I don't know what to say. Really don't. It's really good. I'm really enjoying, like I said, usually do. I'm really enjoying this video series. Once again, I'd like to say also thank you guys for stopping by. There was a decent amount of viewers throughout this whole thing, so thanks. Thanks, Bad, for stopping by. He's not here right now. Also, Bleed. He's not, like I said, he's not here right now, but thank you, Bleed, for stopping by. It's been a while since I've seen him stop by one of these. Oh, hold on. Let me fix something. Okay, there we go. Thanks, Bleed, for stopping by. I know he's not here right now either, but, you know, thank him for stopping by, too. I'm really enjoying this. I promise you I'm going to try to stream this again. Probably not next week. I have a few other videos I have in mind. Not next week, but the week after next, I will try to stream this. I will try not to wait another 2 months for the next one. But, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Everybody loves Asterion. Asterion is great. He's a fantastic character, and once again, I'm reminded why a lot of people consider this one of the top furry visual novels, and I would actually agree. I think it's one of the top 3 for me. But with that being said, though, thanks so much, guys, for stopping by. Once again, before I go, I'd like to say, if you enjoy this video, feel free to comment, like, and or subscribe to my channel, as well as... Oh, no, actually, that's it. Feel free to like and comment on this video. Anything about Asterion? How do you feel about Asterion? How do you feel about Argos now? You know, any of those kind of things. And then, like I said, if you really want more content like this, updates for content like this, feel free to subscribe. And if you don't, even so, if you're new viewer and you decide not to, thanks for stopping by all the same. But with that being said, though, this has been Fallenwolf. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.